Welcome to Elasticity Jumps, the finishing touch on our athletic drills in the ATG system. I'm mid-workout about to show you in real speed what it's like to warm up and get into it. And this is actually two drill options if you are balanced or if you have leg imbalances. So first I'll show you the balanced one. I just did my triple flexion buy-in, then I did my backward sprints. Now it's time for this. We have a simple standard of half your height on each. But how might you warm up into that? Maybe start at about just about a third of that and think with your calves. Think to wake those up. Your Achilles tendons, biggest, strongest tendons in the human body. So there's an inverse ratio of the glutes being big and the calves appearing small, but really your lower legs are just as strong as your hips because your Achilles tendon is much bigger, thicker, and more powerful than your gluteal tendon. So you're seeing this real speed. I do 3 there, then I go up to 2 feet and I start to add in some of those arms and a little bit more of the knees, so Achilles, patellar, quad tendons, and then I'm going up to about half my height and I'm just getting where I can absorb that really well. Then after 3 warm-ups there, get one more, then I would look at the standard and then I'll explain the standard. So basically, if you can't drop from something about half your height and then spring up over something about half your height, how bulletproof are you? Not very bulletproof. Now, a lot of people can jump up onto something like a box jump. They can get up onto something half their height. Maybe they can even land off of it. And maybe you could go higher. We'll look into that. But the point is, a box jump would be a cool expression of power, but being able to easily drop and spring from your box jump would create much more bulletproofing and much more adaptation. This is really, when you just make the jump, you're really just signaling to your body to fire fast. You're not going to change much of your biology. Biology is going to stay the same. Whereas when we drop from something like this, a depth jump, we're now engaging the #1 plyometric drill of all time. This is the most proven plyometric drill of all time. And that's why it's our finishing touch on top of everything else we're doing in the ATG system. And I like to limit it at half your height. Here's why. Half my height, roughly 36 inches. Michael Jordan was dropping from 48 inches. So I could even then add height to that. But how would you expect to match the weight room numbers of a genetic freak and have his or her athleticism if you didn't also match the genetic freak's tendons? So this takes time. If you're working through pain, you're causing probably negative gain by tearing down more than you. I could add a little lift to that, and now I'm eating up MJ's 48-inch landing. This, combined with my training, allows me to jump higher and higher and get more and more bulletproof, because this alone, depth jumping, can increase your maximal strength by up to 14%. How does that relate? Well, if I just try to match Michael Jordan's muscles but not his tendons, I'm not going to have as much pound for pound strength. So if we don't harness the power of plyometrics and we just try to match the weight room numbers of the genetic freak, it's unlikely to be as athletic as the genetic freak, because by the time you have the same muscular components and weigh the same, he or she is still stronger than you are pound for pound. So this is now a pretty limitless drill of jumping off here and still being able to eat up that landing. I said this is one of 2 drills. That's because if you're imbalanced, you shouldn't even be doing this yet, because you'll favor your stronger side. If you're imbalanced, you should jump with your 2 legs and land it naturally on 1 leg. As that gets easier, get a rebound jump on 1 leg. So now let's think some of these forces, okay? Let's think about the force of the depth jump. I spent a lot of time studying the physics of these things. This force on 2 legs versus this force on 1 leg. You can accomplish the same forces with no equipment and forcing yourself to rebalance. So here's a simple baseline of how do you know? Because to me, everything, even if it's rudimentary or basic, has to be measurable for me to use it in the ATG system. So how do you know if you're a candidate to be dropping on 2 legs, is if you can handle your own ability to express yourself on 1 leg. So if I apply full exertion down, can I handle without pain through 1 leg? If not, how bulletproof am I? Not very bulletproof. There's a reason that 7, 8-year-olds aren't all tearing their ACLs. We're only going to be the effect of what we can express. So the higher, the stronger your glutes and legs. Notice a standing vertical, they say only uses about 5% of your calves, and you don't even need a ton of knees. You could good morning most of that, but how about that landing? So that basically, the higher your deadlift in relation to how weak you are, knees over toes, which is for the patellar tendons and Achilles tendons, that's when those get stronger. That would determine your ability to cause yourself pain. So we want to create a situation where your hips are powerful, and we do drills for those, but where you can handle anything that your hips could express that you can handle without pain, thereby finding out your true genetic potential because you're bulletproofing along the way. If you're starting out here and Michael Jordan is here, you have to match his strength and his tendons, and if you get hurt along the way, that's going to be your number 1 setback. So there you go, 2 different drills, the finishing touch on Fridays in Bulletproof.